So I have this picture in my head of how I want things to go, and I think in order to accomplish that, it would just be better if I made it myself. So if this is our first time meeting, hi, my name is Brittany. I am a homeschooling mom of 4 kids, high school down to kindergarten, and we have been homeschooling for almost a decade now. I like to talk all things homeschool and homemaking. We just wrapped up term 2. We had our term 2 break last week, and then now we are moving into term 3 this week. It'll actually Tuesday, and so we are fully into term 3. So if you are new around here, I do 6-week terms, and I kind of do an update after each term to kind of give how things went. And overall, I'm not unhappy with how things went. I'm just having some realizations on how I want to just kind of work our school. And I'm getting more confidence back into that I can be Charlotte Mason and classical, and it's okay. I did a whole video on how I am embracing Charlotte Mason again, like pulling more Charlotte Mason into our homeschool and how I'm blending Charlotte Mason and classical. I will have it linked up in the cards for you. I have a couple of notes, but I'm really trying to get rid of having so many notes. I am realizing that I need to be more natural or else I'm never going to keep up with this whole filming schedule. And yeah, so we are going to just kind of wing it a little bit. So we're going to start with my oldest and work our way down. So let's start with the positives. So the things that I am loving that my 11th grader is doing, we are loving Dennis and math. It feels like such a win after so many things that just we didn't love and that were not working very well. It has given him more confidence in his math, and it has filled in gaps that he had very, very well. And I am extremely happy with the decision that we made to go forward with Denison. So much so that I'm even eyeing their stuff for next year that I don't know if they've released it yet. They were supposed to be releasing a senior level 11, well, yeah, a senior level higher math. That's not exactly like pre-calculus or anything like that. It's kind of a calculus trigonometry blend. I don't know. I'm curious to see what it looks like, and so I'm thinking about it. EIW and Fix It Grammar still going great. He is in the last level of Fix It Grammar, and it is doing what it's supposed to be doing and improving his grammar, and he is doing very well with EIW. I love the scoring service. I love not having to grade high school papers, and so it is still just absolutely my favorite. Christian studies. I actually did a shift with our Christian studies. So I will put a picture up over in here about what the book is that we had grabbed from Memoria Press. We are doing Christian studies with as a family in our morning devotions. However, I am not thrilled with the book itself as far as just the questions and the way that it's laid out. I think that we've just decided to do away with the book itself. We are reading and we are having discussion. I have a lot of books that he is reading because there are things that I want him to read. He is very theologically minded and he understands very difficult concepts. And so there are places that I want to push him a little bit and challenge him that I think he's ready for. And so I will have the full book list on what he's doing for Christian studies in the description box. Currently, he is doing The Holiness of God by RC Sproul, and he is loving it. And so, if you have any recommendations on books that you think Christians should read as they are going out of high school, drop it in the comments because I would love to add to my list. I'm currently compiling his Christian Studies 2 list for next year. Okay, so now on to the things that I am not loving. Okay, so chemistry. It's not my favorite on how, I said that we were going to be blending the 101 series and friendly chemistry, and we are. It's going okay. He's not going into a STEM career. I'm not overly concerned about it, but were he to be going into a STEM career, I would say we wouldn't do it this way. But he has no motivation to pursue anything like that. I know kind of the avenue that he is thinking of taking with his career choices. Even were he to pursue college, a STEM career is not on the horizon. So therefore, I'm okay with just checking the box. It gives him enough of a grasp of chemistry that I'm okay with it. To be perfectly honest, I remember nothing from chemistry. I think he'll be okay. So we're pushing through it. It's not something I would do again if I had a kid that was more inclined in that way. Hindsight 2020, I kind of wish that I had pursued the chemistry in the kitchen from Guest Hollow. I think that might have been a little bit more up his alley. But Guest Hollow always kind of worried me because there's so much reading. Like, it would be my kind of curriculum, but there's so much reading that this particular child, I think, would have struggled with it because he really enjoys audio, and so a lot of the things that I pull for him are audio based. So I am going to be having to take my words back because I think in our term 1 update, I said that I was enjoying Knotgrass, world history for high school, and I am no longer enjoying Knotgrass world history. I feel like the first couple of units there, it had a lot of promise, and then it didn't uphold the promises that it felt like it was. I don't know. It just didn't meet my expectations, I guess. I was hoping for something that had a very strong biblical framework, but also included aspects of I guess you would call secular history. I don't even like saying it like that because I believe that God in his providence is fully in control of all things and he is working all things together. And so I don't believe that there is a secular history. And that's kind of what I've been hoping for, was that this would finally be the curriculum that bridged that gap. I've been searching and searching and searching for a history curriculum that would cover history, but actually go in depth in all aspects of history, but keep the biblical worldview intact and show how God is still in control, even in those circumstances, and then pull along the biblical timeline alongside of what scholars would call, like, secular history. So you can see how it goes together, but I am finding the same problem that I had with Mystery of History I am having with Knotgrass, in that it feels like Bible and not history. We're still doing it because I paid a lot of money for it, and so we're still doing it, but I am having to give him some supplemental videos from YouTube to go with it. We're using a lot of extra history. I am using Crash Course History, which I don't love, but it's doing the job. And so I am finding that he's learning more from the videos that I'm giving him than he is from the actual book itself. So I'm very disappointed. For him at this point, next year, he'll be doing government and economics, and so I'm not as concerned, but I am very disappointed that the entirety of his schooling career, we have not found a history that we've liked. And so, my pastor told me that maybe that's the sign that I'm supposed to be writing something because I can't find what I'm looking for. And I am writing a supplement that runs alongside Story of the World. And so maybe once I've finished that, that will be the next step. So we'll see. Okay, moving on to elementary school. So my fourth grader and second grader, I'm going to lump together in a lot of stuff. CLE math is still just amazing. I love it. I have literally 0 complaints when it comes to CLE math. It's just so good, and it's solid. It is a lot of work, but it feels very purposeful. It never feels like there is anything in there that shouldn't be in there, or they're giving too many practice problems. It feels very intentional, and truth be told, I think 45 minutes, which is what it takes my 4th grader to do his work, is 45 minutes when he's not, if he's actually sitting down and doing the work, then I don't think that's unreasonable for a 4th grader to do. So I am just really enjoying it. We did hit a rough patch between halfway through 3rd grade up through halfway through 4th grade. And I think it's because they are teaching multiplication and division more in depth. And so, I mean, multiplication is introduced in 2nd grade, but in 3rd grade, halfway through 3rd grade, it really ramps up, and then in 4th grade, you are doing lots of multiplication and division, and so I think that was why we had this point halfway through 3rd grade through halfway through 4th grade that it was just a struggle. And now that we are on the tail end of it, because he is currently on 407 in his light units, and he is finally at a point that things are getting a little bit not easier because it's still a challenging curriculum, but it's no longer causing so much frustration. So if you're doing CLE math and you're doing, 3rd grade or early 4th grade, just hang on, because once you get towards the end of 4th grade, it starts to get a little bit easier to understand. It's just the introduction of harder points of multiplication and division that's a little challenging. Writing and rhetoric for my 4th grader, we are still really enjoying. He is doing much better now that I have taken over the larger portions of writing. So he dictates and I am typing them. That was really causing a block for him because spelling is an area that we are working on right now, but is not fully clicked. And so it's always put him behind with his writing. And so I have this whole plan that I can get into later if anybody's interested on how I taught my oldest to spell. He is dyslexic and he struggled and now he's an excellent speller. And it really just involves a lot of typing and using typing as a tool and not using spell check all the time. There's a process with it. But that's what I'm doing with my 4th graders. So I'm trying not to jump around too much. Actually, let me just not get ahead of myself before I go into the spelling stuff. Let me finish with writing and rhetoric. Writing and rhetoric is it's going well. And he is enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. He is still doing the writing portion whenever it has, questions that are just a single answer that he has to do. But when it's bulk writing, I am doing the writing for him. And he is learning typing. He has almost completed the typing program, and so he will move into where he will type his summaries and things like that that he is having to do the longer form writing for. He will start typing those very soon. Like I said, I can get more into that later, on how I'm going to be using typing as a tool to help with spelling. Okay, so spelling. I had said recently that we had started doing all about spelling. I actually like all about spelling, except for it felt like there were a lot of moving pieces. And with especially this particular child, it wasn't so much that he wasn't understanding the spelling rules because I would teach him the spelling rule and he already knew it. I would ask him the question, he already knew it. The block that we're having for him with spelling is that it's not transferring over into his spelling. He has the rules down. It's just not computing. And so I am finding that that is, I think, fairly common, especially for boys, to understand the spelling rules because we did a lot of phonics, um, and to understand the spelling rules, but it's not clicking with spelling yet. So rather than just drilling and drilling and drilling and making him spend and all of this extra time doing this program that he's not really needing, what I've done is I have pulled back with that and I just have a list of the spelling rules that we are reviewing. I am giving him a list of words each week that he is practicing. And every week we are talking about the rule and then he is practicing those words and just going through it. And then at the end of the week, I will give him a spelling test just to see if any of these have, like, actually stuck, but I am really just doing it to give him that repetition and to make sure he's understanding the rules and we don't have any gaps, but I am going to be letting the typing portion that I am doing, do all of the heavy lifting because I have found with my oldest that it really does work. Okay, so grammar. I actually enjoy Memoria Press grammar. The issues that I have with it are not huge issues, with the exception of the way that they do grammar recitation. I just wish that the rules were a little bit more concise because it just is it's very wordy in some areas, and the way that it is explained can be kind of hard for children to understand. And the way that they have the copy work with the spelling or not spelling, the grammar rules and some of the examples that they use are not my favorite. I do really love how they have so much practice that they do, and I think that's really great. We're liking the core skills, but because I am very much missing the wording and the way that the grammar rules were explained in first language lessons, that which is what we did last year. I have decided to move into building out my own curriculum for grammar because I really like the way that they have this laid out. I think it's very good. There are just some tweaks that I'm missing. I also am wanting more sentence editing that I'm not seeing. I know that Memoria Press has a separate curriculum that you can get to do sentence editing. They don't do a whole lot of diagramming, and I really like diagramming. And so there are just things that I would love to see in this curriculum that aren't there. And then I have also found that I am moving more toward blending classical with Charlotte Mason. And so I'm just wanting to do more copy work, more dictation, but very intentional copy work, very intentional dictation. I have decided that I am just going to build out my own grammar curriculum for my kiddos. And so that is something that I am working on right now. For them, I am trying to build it 1 week at a time initially so I can see how I feel about it, if I feels like it's not enough work or if it needs a little bit extra or I need to pull back because it feels like it's too heavy. And so I am having them be my testers for this. And so I am currently putting that together. And that I think will give me what I'm hoping for, what I'm trying to find. I think the problem is that I'm trying to find a curriculum that doesn't fully exist. I know of a handful of curriculum options out there that do blend classical and Charlotte Mason, but they don't do it in the way that I would want it to be done. So I have this picture in my head of how I want things to go. And I think in order to accomplish that, it would just be better if I made it myself. It is including my recitation cards, so I am building my own recitation cards currently. I have built out some catechism cards, so if you've seen my catechism cards, the recitation cards that I am making that are grade level recitation cards and the recitation cards that I'm making for grammar for my kids are gonna look the same way that my, catechism cards look, and I will have the link for the catechism cards listed in the description box. I already had the kindergarten recitation cards on my website as well, and so I'll have that linked also, and I will also put the video for the catechism on in the cards. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing how that works and what I'm talking about, you can go check that out also. That is kind of the plan on how we are doing it because I love grammar recitation. I think it's a really neat way of doing grammar. And if you've never done recitation, what it is just it's a question answer format. It's like, what is a noun? A noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. What is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words expressing a complete thought. It's very simple and it's rote memory, but that's the curriculum itself will have all of the practice, all of the copy work, all of the dictation and stuff like that. And it's using beautiful literature and scripture and trying to find prepositions and nouns and sentence corrections from scripture and then also from literature. So I'm really excited about how it's coming together. Okay, moving on. So, for my kindergartner, we were doing generations and we were doing it, but she is above what they are doing. And so it was becoming very monotonous and she didn't need to do majority of the stuff. So she was finishing very, very quickly and it just felt like busy work. So what I have been doing with her instead was going through and um, giving her some math problems so she can practice writing her numbers and practice doing some very basic math. She loves for me to just give her addition and subtraction problems and just work those. So that's what she does a lot for her math. And then for her reading, she is reading level 1 readers. We are still doing phonics pathways. That's going very, very well. And then we just practice her letters. I dictate some words, some CVC words, and then some very simple 4-letter words as she's learning those rules for 4-letter words. I will dictate those words and she'll write them on her little whiteboard. And so I'll watch her to make sure she's forming her letters properly. And then that's pretty much the extent of her schooling. We do some picture books and things like that. She has a lot of things already that she's doing. She's doing kindergarten recitation, which I mentioned the kindergarten recitation cards that are linked on the description box. So she is doing those recitation cards to get some very basic information down, like our phone numbers, some worldview questions, skip counting, and things like that. Very uh, kindergarten, early first grade level is what ends up falling into our recitation that I do that I put together. And so that's what she's doing a lot of, and that's going very, very well. For my second grader, I forgot her because I was talking about them together. For her spelling, okay, so this girl is just a natural speller. It just comes very easy to her. She just did phonics, and for I guess it clicked. And so every time we got to a new spelling list, she would get 100. So I kind of tested her out of a lot of this stuff, and now she's just doing copy work and dictation. And I also have her do some journaling. So in her dictation and her journaling, if I see words that are misspelled, we'll just go over them. And that seems to be enough to help her correct herself. And that's all that she needs. So she's not doing a spelling curriculum anymore. If she gets to the point that she is struggling again, I will pull back in a spelling curriculum. But at this point, she's doing perfectly okay. Okay, elementary history. Still love it. Story of the World, I still love Story of the World. We are in level 3 of Story of the World, early modern times, and the only thing that I wish was that I wish that I had my supplement finished so I could go run it alongside of it. Other than that, I really, really like Story of the World, and so I have decided that next year we are probably not going to go into the level for the modern times because what I have been told is that modern times gets a little bit violent and it's good for 5th grade and up. And so my oldest child who will be doing Story of the World with us is going into 5th grade next year. And so since I am writing a biblical slash church history supplement to run alongside Story of the World, and I'm hoping to have level 1 finished next year, we're gonna just start over and do ancients again next year, and then that will give him 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade through an entire course of Story of the World. Okay, and then lastly, I think is, science. So, science, we were doing Science Shepherd, and I think that I must have misread somewhere that Science Shepherd videos were like 10 to 15 minutes long. They are definitely, and I mentioned this in my last video, my last update, that it was like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes on the length for the videos. And that just doesn't feel like science to me. And so we were still doing it for a while where we would do the video and they would do all of the questions. And then I would just add in extra books to read with it, but that felt very tedious, and so, I found on Thrift Books BJU level 4 science book, which is what we did last year. We did level 3, and I just treat it like a read aloud, and then we do narrations with it, and so I grabbed that, and we've been just doing the same thing where we read and do narrations. My kids enjoy science, and so that process just works really, really well for us. They remember it that way, and so that's how we're gonna do it. I don't know what that means for next year, but for the rest of this year, that's what we've been doing, and that's what we're gonna keep doing. So I think that just about covers everything. I hate making changes to our curriculum, but at the same time, I am really understanding what I am looking for with our homeschool and how I want our homeschool to run. And I am finding just a lot of the stuff I am more confident building out myself in order to be more respectful of my children and really the way that I believe the brain works and how I want to see our education going moving forward. I don't want to say our education because it's their education, but more of our school going forward. And yeah. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you have any questions about any of the curriculum I have been talking about, feel free to leave it in the comments. If you want to flip through of anything, also make sure to leave that or a comparison. Let me know, and I am happy to film anything that y'all are wanting to see with our homeschool stuff. Please like the video if it was helpful. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already done so. With all that being said, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.